I managed to crawl out of my crippling deadlock addiction to finally record Bogle. Brief overview of games lately experienced. Because I can't possibly expect human beings whose brains are infested with TikTok brain rot and cat pictures to bother understanding a difference between two similarly sounding titles, I've decided to cover all the bases in one go. Although it's really not that difficult, just repeat after me. The Outer Worlds. Outer Wilds. The Outer Worlds. Outer Wilds. The Outer Wilds. Shit. The Outer Worlds. First-person RPG released in 2019 by Obsidian Entertainment. I played two Obsidian games, Fallout New Vegas, which is a cult classic, and South Park The Stick of Truth, which is the most faithful adaptation of a media material into a video game I've experienced. So suffice it to say, the expectations were high, as Obsidian themselves shrewdly adopted a marketing strategy of comparing it to New Vegas. Who wouldn't?
Basically, it was a first-person RPG. You know, Fallout New Vegas kind of feel, I think was the main thing. Fallout meets Firefly.
That didn't help, as the game turned out to be painfully and ubiquitously average. Every aspect of it felt uninspired, designed without much creative ambition, although with some level of professionalism, as there were no outright bugs, but it felt as if they were just going through the motions with no passion and little enthusiasm. Unaware eye.
Heads up! Ha! Ha! With you, boss.
Something going on over there? What was that? Did I hear something? What was that?
What was
I
that?
think I heard something. What was that?
I'd better take a look. What was that? What was that? I'd better take a look. What was that?
Lockpicking as simple as... hacking as simple as...
Is there hacking in the game?
Yes.
Does the minigame suck?
No, because there is no minigame.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Unimaginative array of enemies, dogs, lizards, silverback gorillas, and psychos from the Borderlands, only lame and unfunny to kill. Plasma corrosion, shock and ray damage, as well as space western retro-futuristic style are cluing in further on developers' inspiration with the Borderlands, even though never explicitly stated. Despite exploring a new star system, they never bothered to play with sci-fi concepts. You go to an asteroid, it's the same gravity as on the planets, with the breathable atmosphere. So instead of tweaking the physics and making it stand out, they just slapped a force field on the whole area and called it a day. In DLC, there was a city flying around the gas giant planet in a sort of low orbit. That is really the only sci-fi element that stuck out to me. Everything else is so familiar, just wrapped in a bright colored visuals. Unless you are unlucky to set out during the night, because at that point visibility drops to 0, and with all the cutting edge science fiction weaponry strapped to your back, no one thought to include a flashlight or a watch. The nights are absolute blind hell, I don't know what they were thinking. NPCs are pretty stagnant, they don't have routine cycles, they stand like lifeless statues all day waiting for the player's interaction. Quests are the biggest letdown. Hey, fetch me that book, bring me the documents, get me 3 parts of a guide so I could become a real engineer. And then they have this. Except needs 3 keys before it will activate, and I have to go find them, right?
Eternal, no. What is wrong with you? Who would ever design something like that?
Isn't that funny that we make you do meaningless, tedious tasks that bring no joy, don't provide any narrative substance, and designed to just waste your time?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Lampshading your own flaws does not work if you're not trying to improve. And speaking of lampshading, they call their definitive edition Spacer's Choice, which is a company in the game's world that is widely known to produce the most unreliable, shoddily made, mass-produced garbage for maximizing profit. Before playing the game, I saw it as a bold satire on the state of the industry. Now after playing it, it just seems like a weird self-roast and a genuine cry for help. The thing that I did enjoy about the Outer Worlds is its setting. The corporation set out to colonize a new star system and been given freedom to do pretty much what they want. People who talk about individual freedom and question corporate regime are branded as philosophists, dangerous heretics with evil intent. So every time you try to talk sense into people, you are met with brainwashed resistance and often animosity. I like the corporate jingles, love the posters, mostly enjoyed silly over-the-top humor, though over time it gets repetitive and becomes hit or miss.
How can 32% cost savings not Moisten the loins.
I enjoyed the Wild West atmosphere, the fact that your ship is literally called the Unreliable and piloted by an AI who changes loyalties faster than my cat deciding which side of the door he wants to be on. It gave me a faint but clear sense of what the game was aiming for. You're supposed to be an opportunistic vagabond, a self-proclaimed captain with a fake ID, drifting through space, picking up freelance jobs like some morally flexible space cowboy. Science weapons were also a great addition. Those are unique, harder to find weapons. They are generally not very powerful, but have very fun effects. There are 6 companions and you can have a pair of them following you. Parvati, the engineer, the first and the easiest companion to get, received the most character development, having a whopping 2 quests. One of which is the one where she asks you to travel across the galaxy to buy her a bar of soap so she can get laid, which should be nominated for the fetchiest quest in the gaming history. There is no romance, which is not a prerequisite, but in my opinion, once you start writing the character in depth, in order to show your character from every angle, you naturally arrive to romance. There is a lot of untapped potential and I wish they did these guys a better service.
Your life was merely an illusion anyway.
They also have hilariously poorly designed combat abilities. Felix has a dropkick that can teleport him through locked doors, while others pull guns they don't actually carry. The flashy animations and cheesy one-liners get old fast. It's cool on trailer, but tedious after you've played the game longer than 10 minutes. The character progression system is mostly okay. This Unreal Engine wall of text though is nothing even closely comparable to New Vegas in terms of mechanics, creativity, or visual design. There is one thing that drives me crazy. Let's say your character has 10 engineering, 10 medicine, and 30 science. They are all a part of a subgroup called tech. The way it works, you level up the subgroup and it levels up all the skills inside together up to 50. To upgrade it further, you need to spend points individually. So, because of this system, if you wanted to level up science and engineering to a 50, it would take the same amount of skill points if I had no bonus in science in the first place. So it eats up bonuses you pick during character creation, making it obsolete. I played through DLC Murder on Eridanos, which is unlocked in the middle of the base game, so thinking that's where the developers want you to start it, I decided to do so. Little did I know, I began to level up every few minutes just by talking to people. By the end of the DLC I was level 36, which was the level cap of the original edition, before they raised it in the Spacer's Choice to 99. Evidently ruining the progression balance. The combat that wasn't particularly exciting in the first place became a walk in the park, with me going around one-shotting everybody as if I accidentally unlocked the god mode. The last part of the game was rushed. Byzantium, which is supposed to be the third act in a large, rich metropolis, is just a couple of streets slapped together with less quests than a starting village. The big bad evil guy gets established just at the very end of the game, to be promptly dispatched in the closest this game had for a boss fight. The sequence on Tartarus was especially jarring. They decided to pull off an epic reunion of all the factions you've favored throughout the game, like in Mass Effect uniting the world to fight against the Reapers. Only here, I never asked for them, it felt utterly unearned. I walk through effortlessly in a disguise and see them just appear one after another, accompanied by epic speeches, committing unnecessary acts of suicide for no reason. At the end, I knew I will be criticizing this game heavily, so I've decided to give Outer Worlds a fair chance and went and did another run as a dumb, evil Billy lady, Furione. Having a different gender didn't change a thing. Say what you will about this capitalistic dystopia, but at least people are miserable equally, regardless of their gender. Being below average intelligence was actually pretty fun. There are special dialogue options like in Fallout, and they honestly felt more inspired and impactful than playing as a genius. Going on an evil path had a different tone to the playthrough, and there is at least one quest. The problem that I had with it was motivation. The suits don't really try to seduce you with money and power, they just give you an option to betray a person that saved your life. Want to be evil? This way please. In summary, I find it mediocre, but the longer I played, the more I got sick of low-quality combat AI, shallow quests, primitive leveling system. Writing has some merit going for it, but as a whole it drops below average for me. And so I'm giving the Outer Worlds Spacer's Choice 45 out of 100.
You're welcome.
Outer Wilds released in 2019 by Mobius Digital as their first big non-mobile game. The studio was founded by Mazi Oka, best known as the space-time manipulating guy from The Heroes, which is oddly fitting. The game developers insist heavily on playing with the controller. For the most part you can go without, but there was one section where pressure-sensitive triggers and ability to crank movement axis gently was essential. There are still ways to go through without, but I do also recommend to scavenge a controller, as that part was intentionally designed with controller mechanics in mind, and you will be missing out on that. Excuse me for using very vague footage, as first impressions in this game are magical, and I don't want to spoil you subconsciously or otherwise. I won't forget the first time when I plunged into the atmosphere of a gas giant on a high speed as I misjudged my velocity to be faced with its liquid ball of a surface, roiling with waves and raging storms. Ah, what a memory. Before starting, I was expecting a boring astronaut simulator where you go to dusty old planets and look at rocks or occasional ruins. But my expectations were wrong. Every place you go is gorgeous and very imaginative. Outer Wilds masterfully blends real science and thought experiments with the fictional elements. A science fiction in its purest form. There are no space goons blasting you with laser guns. Pew, 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 pew. No combat, just you exploring this beautiful and mysterious star system. On the technical level, it's impressive. Once you finish the tutorial, you take off the planet and are free to go wherever you please. There is no loading screens, no quests telling you what to do, it's all up to your curiosity. There were a few moments of short frame drops, but I'm honestly surprised how smoothly it runs, considering how everything around you moves and spins about. This is another thing, fear, but not any kind of fear, the fear of space. Uh-oh, why is it... And let me tell you, I'm an absolute dry brick when it comes to emotions, but this game in the first hour made me feel the dread of inanimate objects zooming around at crazy speeds in space. It's a special kind of feeling mixed with a bit of nausea and disorientation, and if I felt that, this means other people will have an emotional roller coaster. And those things don't have a malicious intent, they are just following the laws of physics, and yet you realize that they can swat you like an ant if you misjudge your speed, zone out for a few seconds, or an autopilot had enough with you. Let's try not to lose this ship.
A few moments later.
Autopilot! What the hell? Outer Wilds also doubles as a murder mystery of an entire civilization. There is a computer log that automatically collects all the information you've gathered. It's very well designed, lets you think without hand-holding you through the process. But my advice, don't worry about it in the beginning, just look in the sky and go wherever curiosity takes you. You will find something there, get interested, and that will lead you to more and more discoveries naturally. It is a bit of a puzzle game, there are points where you need to figure things out. I had to look up the very last solution on Twins. Other than that, I was able to solve everything on my own to a great satisfaction, so it's not too difficult. If we talk about flaws, there is one Easter egg that wasn't obviously an Easter egg, and I spent a lot of time trying to reach the unreachable place. Also, the dialogue is just plain text. I get that it's not a story-driven game in a traditional sense, but some voice acting, even in alien language, would have added a lot, especially during the tutorial, which sticks out a bit. Outer Wilds is exactly the example of a game I want to play. It brought new things to the table, it had clever game design, it's imaginative both visually and concept-wise, and was given enough time to develop to its full potential. I would highly recommend it to anyone, but especially to curious people, because this game does a great job of igniting that sense of wonder and curiosity. And so, I'm giving Outer Wilds 85 out of 100. And without much consideration, the best Outie award goes to Outer Wilds. I am looking forward to whatever Mobius will tackle next, and we'll check the DLC at some point. I also wish Obsidian good luck with Outer Worlds 2. The trailer looks pretty good, but I can't say I'm too excited after playing the first one. I guess we'll have to see. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you around.